Hey, what's up? So today's video is about why I chose to create my own foundation. I just got back yesterday from Ukraine, just saw some of the craziest things happen, literally pulled 12 people to safety from barrages of artillery coming from either side. Man, we were feeding like literally starving people, and it's so much on my heart to do this work. But there's many reasons why, and today I want to talk about the 5 major reasons why people start foundations. Yes, there's financial reasons, there's tax implications, there's heart-centered reasons. I'm going to break it all down for you today.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
So, did you know in the United States alone that there are 1.8 million foundations? And if you were to like scoop them all up together, that they would become in the world the 5th largest economy? There are people that feel very, very strongly about giving. And part of that is when you become so successful in life, a lot of people's motivation, their why for why they're building wealth in the first place, it starts off with freeing yourself from a job, then it graduates to taking care of your family. It might then go beyond that to, I want to help my parents or some of my loved ones. But what do you do when you become so successful that you've achieved all that? Well, I'm going to tell you, for me, it's because there's greater needs in the world. There's problems to solve. Elon Musk himself literally is known as a minimalist. He sold everything and wakes up every day, works 100 hours a week for one purpose: to solve the world's problems. The question is, if you were like beyond wealthy, what problems would you solve in the world? Chances are you're a subscriber on my channel, and I'm here to teach you how to build wealth. But today we're going to talk about the main reasons and even tax benefit reasons why people start or contribute to foundations. Did you know in 2021 that over $90 billion was given to different foundations? That number is up more than 3% from the year before. So giving and generosity, it's on the rise. Let's start off then today with this definition of what really is then a foundation. A foundation is a nonprofit corporation or a charitable trust that makes grants or donations to other organizations, institutions, or individuals for charitable purposes. There are 2 types of foundations. There's private foundations and there's also public foundations. And for today's video, we're not really going to go too much into the difference of what that means. But ultimately what it is someone says, I got a pile of money that I want to give someone that I want distributed in a way to solve some calamity, some world problem. I want to help put socks on babies, and I want to help promote literacy, or in my case, I want to save lives. Today I'm going to be talking about the 5 major reasons why people start charitable foundations or donate to them, or some of the benefits of having them set up in the first place. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about Ukraine, because I just got back from my second mission. And definitely had a lot of people asking me, why on earth are you going into a war-torn country? Aren't you taking unnecessary risks? Here's the reality. That war is alive and well. And I can tell you firsthand that there are people starving. They don't have enough food. They don't have the warmth resources for winter that's coming on. And you've got people that are dying as the enemy lines shift deeper into Ukraine. The first time I went into Bucha, Irpin, and I got to see firsthand what happened to people that didn't get rescued. If they were left behind and the Russians found them, they were shot, killed. We saw the mass graves. You also saw people literally zip-tied, hands behind their back. I mean, we're talking about some of the worst atrocities that happen in war are happening right now in the world. On this last trip that I made into Ukraine, we were there to definitely support the starving, also babies, the orphaned, like literally kids who have lost both mom and dad. It's tragic what's happening there. And there's not enough government support. There's not enough NGO or large foundation support going in. And I basically said, you know what, we're going to go in and we're going to make a direct impact. We're literally going to go in flying on a jet ourselves. We're going to bring the medical supplies. We're going to bring the food. We're going to bring the resources. And we actually had multiple missions occurring at the same time while we were there. And my mission, part of Alpha team, was to go deep into the east and do extractions. After doing some humanitarian aid work in one of the main cities there that's currently under fire, we got a phone call that there were 12 people trying to make it out of an area that was heavily disputed. It was definitely gray territory. And we're talking about Russia already is claiming that they own this annexed area. So we went in with ex-special forces, making up 9 different countries in total with this one organization, the Mozart Group. And when we went in, you could hear very loudly the artillery coming in from the Ukrainian side, from the Russian side. And there's this tiny little town caught in the middle. And this is where the 12 people were that needed out. Their roads had been destroyed. They didn't have vehicles, or their vehicles couldn't get out. So literally, they were abandoned, forgotten, left behind. Fortunately, they were able to make it in contact with our group. And when we went in, I was part of the last extraction team that literally went in the off-train vehicle that was able to get directly to them, get them like fast in the car, and then pull them out and bring them to safety. And honestly, it's an experience that I'll never forget, watching all 12 of those souls crammed in that van as we are booking it out of there. We just got 12 people out. We had to go back and get our interpreter who was left behind. We are literally right now between the Ukrainians firing on the Russians. There's a small little town in between. And it's taking heavy fire, so we've gotten 12 out. We just picked up on our transport vehicle flat tires, so they're gonna have to hurry and get that fixed real fast. If these people hadn't been pulled out, each of their lives may have been lost. There are causes in the world that you will take a stand for. This is mine. And I sincerely believe that if I can provide you the information to help you become financially more successful, that eventually we're gonna exit this selfish life of it's about me or even my family, which is still noble, but eventually, what if you had more money than you knew what to do with? What if you were more successful and had more money than your needs required? Well, you can start doing some of this foundation work, and there's definitely some financial benefits for doing that. But more importantly, the question is, who are you meant to serve on this planet? I know who my people are. And today I want to inspire you to start thinking about yours, because that might end up becoming your why for wealth and making it real. Okay, so the first of 5 reasons why people typically donate to a foundation or start a foundation in the first place is tax savings. When you make money, you gotta pay taxes on it, but the government says, well, if you give to properly formed and structured foundations, the amount of money that you give can literally lower your taxable income by that amount. And so there's some people who are like, well, I can give the money to the government, I could keep some in my pocket, or this is actually a part of my strategy on just being a generous soul that wants to give and help literally, as cheesy as it sounds, make the world a better place. Check it out. Individuals often rush to get their tax deductions in at the end of the year, but a private foundation receives their tax deductions upfront and then can make charitable gifts over time. The only requirement is that the foundation must make qualifying distributions each year of at least 5% of the previous year's average net assets. Bottom line is that when you donate your money to a private or a public foundation, it's going to lower your taxable income. Whether you give it to someone else's foundation or your own foundation that you started, you get that same tax benefit. Well, Kris, for me to get that tax benefit, do I actually have to start my own foundation? And the answer is no. You can start one, but you can also give to another, and really the tax benefit is going to be the same. Private foundations can run their own programs in addition to making donations to another foundation. So whether you put it into your own foundation, you give it to someone else's foundation, or you're in a foundation giving to another foundation, it all qualifies and achieves the same taxable outcome of those tax savings that a lot of people are looking for when they want to reduce their tax bill. One of the purposes of this last trip to Ukraine was to solidify some new relationships. For example, one of our partners runs these ambulances because there's people that are held up in these Ukrainian hospitals that they can't offer treatment to, or they can't offer the right surgeries to, and these people are gonna languish and eventually die. They need to get transported and medevaced, but right now there's no safe airspace, which means that the only way in and out of Ukraine is literally by a vehicle or by a train. And so depending on where you are in Ukraine, it could take 20 hours for you to actually get somewhere like Poland where you can now receive a surgery. So one of our groups that we worked with has specially outfitted ambulances, not for 20-minute care, but for 20-hour care. And right now, 3 ambulances are literally saving 22 lives a month. That's an organization that my foundation gratefully gives money to, because in our foundation, our work is to save lives. And that organization, they are saving lives. We're helping them expand their fleet and getting into a space where they can help more and more people basically get extracted from the hospitals and get to places where they can get those surgeries. Which really comes to point number 3 here, which is you can make a difference internationally. There's a lot of great work to do in the United States, but for me, I go in our foundation's cause and purpose where the greatest need is, where the greatest trauma is in the world. And guess what? The rest of the world doesn't work with the same type of foundation setups that the US has. They're not all 501c3s. They're not all proper foundations, but check out this rule. It's very cool. Private foundations are allowed to donate directly to overseas charitable organizations, even if there is no IRS recognized 501c3 entity to serve as an intermediary. So part of what I do with the donations that I receive, I'm putting in my own money. We're raising a lot of other money. And my job is to make sure that that money is responsibly dispensed where we can do the most good, but most importantly, where we can have direct impact. It's not getting lost in some system or in some government system or sitting in some warehouse. Some of the goods we brought into Ukraine, we literally have to smuggle in because they'll get seized and they'll get held up and they'll say, thank you for your contribution. I'm like, well, no. We literally brought in those ventilators serialized for these specific patients whose lives we're trying to save. And so for me, it is about making that direct impact. And overseas, there's a lot of great organizations. And thankfully, the IRS does allow us to make those donations to these charitable organizations, even if they're not IRS recognized because they're not, US. So let's just pause for a moment and talk about what this education is all about. Normally what I do is I show you how to take a small amount of money and then multiply it into a lot of money. Now, if you do that, you could take the money and spend it and then it'd be gone and then you'd have to start all over again with a small amount that you turn into a lot of money. But there's a different strategy that you use in a foundation and it's called an endowment. And the idea is to take some of the donated funds and some of them are just gonna go directly to the promised impact that you said. Some of the funds have less restricted use and can go into a fund where you can make certain type of investments and those investments are going to spin off interest. And what that means is now I have a pile of money that's sitting over here earning interest. And let's say that I'm earning 10% a year. Well, 10% on 100,000 is $10,000. But if I have $10 million over there and 10% of that is $1 million a year, then if I were to get hit by a bus, it's always a bus for some reason and I die, then guess what? Even after my life, this money is still kicking off interest. And guess what that interest does? It can allow that foundation to continue creating, really what's called here a lasting legacy. Unlike a gift that benefits the recipient one time, a foundation perpetuates a family's generosity beyond a lifetime. Because gifts are made from an endowment that generates investment revenue over time, the total gift made by the foundation can surpass the initial funding. Now, that's just a lot of words to basically say, we've got a pile of money that is responsibly earning money, and we take the interest, not the principal. The principal is growing, but the interest is now making the direct impact, and it can go on and on and on and on. Colleges, universities are run this way, foundations are run this way. Some of the most successful organizations, it's definitely long-term planning. In the next 5 years, I plan to have a $250 million go through our foundation, and a lot of that is meant to sit investments growing and multiplying so that for generations to come, the people that need saving in the world can get that impact from the Krohn Breakthrough Foundation. I gotta tell you though, the fifth reason that we're gonna talk about why a foundation today, and the one that means probably the most to me, has to do with my family. It has to do with my children. Check out this very interesting quote regarding building a better family. Adults are more likely to give to charity if their parents did. Plain and simple, just like that. My children now, we're planning on having them come to some of these missions. They've been on other missions that we've done to Africa. And what I'm doing is I'm passing on a legacy that says, this is what it means to be a Krohn. This is what we do. We're not here for us. In fact, we want our total impact to be far greater for other people than any benefit we're ever personally going to receive. A private foundation provides a rare opportunity to not only discuss what matters to you, but to actually demonstrate it. As family members participate, they're also honing skills that will serve them for years to come. And because I just got back from Ukraine, guess what this morning's breakfast conversation around the table was with my kids? We were talking about the people we saved. We were talking about the people that we fed. We were talking about the resources that we were able to share. And there were a lot of wet eyes this morning because my children got to witness and see and understand firsthand what it means to be generous in life. I want my children to be abundant. I want them to be successful. And I want to teach them, just like I'm here to share with you, how do you produce means beyond your own needs? Because when you enter the selfless life, there's two things that I've done in my entire life that make my entire world feel like it was worth it. The first one was becoming financially free. Because a lot of people will never know what choices they really would make if they didn't have to work. Work wants your best 40, 50, 60 hours a week. It's all consuming, and 85% of people don't like what they do for a living. So financial freedom, which happened 16 years ago for me, has meant that my life has been built on a entirely different set of priorities. I don't have to work, so what do I want to do? The second thing that has changed my life even more has just been falling in love with the game of being a contributor to society. What do I have that I can give? Sometimes it starts with your time or your talents or your resources, but eventually also your treasure, your money, your savings, and things like that. And in today's video, I hope that one of your takeaways that you're getting is that your next big reason why to have greater financial success, follow the advice on this channel, grow your businesses, grow your real estate portfolios, do more. It's because it's not just for you. It's for people out there that you're called to serve. And I hope that you find the day when you get to meet them. My life is all about changing lives and saving lives. And the foundation is where I get to save those lives. Changing lives is a fun game. People will come and hang out with me at my events. We get to do processes. We get to break through limiting beliefs. We break boards. We walk on fire. We walk on glass. We do crazy crap. It's awesome. But saving a life, for me, it moves me personally so much, which is what this Breakthrough Foundation is about for refugees in the world right now that have no way out. They are forgotten. They need to be rescued. And if you feel inspired to do that work with me, then you can get those same tax benefits, but more importantly, allow your heart an opportunity to grow. There's a link below where you can contribute to our next mission. It's going to be about saving children from sex slavery. It's going to have to do with saving babies from unnecessary death. It's going to be about rescuing refugees, the forgotten, from war zones. And I invite you to participate, be a part of this, give your heart an opportunity to grow. That's exactly what's happened to me, and it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. It really begs the question, like, what really is wealth? Is it really the amount of money in your bank account? Is it the amazing memories that you're creating in life? Is that the money that you're using to give to others? Well, I've got some thoughts on what real wealth really is, and I think the world is ready for a new definition. And if you want to experience that, click this link. Let me show you what we did on our last mission to Ukraine.